1, 2, 3, 4. So much care, I feel down, I feel your awesome stare, and now I know I was out.
Get ready for the Akron Podcast, a podcast dedicated to authenticity, entertainment, and fun.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to
God, I'm loving that, Greg.
Cool.
That's an awesome intro. I hope you like it.
We're trying different things, right?
Yeah, we got to keep trying different things. Tonight, we're here recording from my house tonight with my view of Memorial Parkway, so we thought we'd change it up a little bit tonight.
I'm liking it.
We'll rotate locations to keep it fresh, and things to do around Akron, different things that we got going on. And one of the ideas, Greg and I were talking here before we started the show, we got a few feedback from people. One of the thoughts were...
We got feedback.
We had actual feedback, thank you, appreciate it. It's a great comment.
It had to be Disco Steve.
No, it wasn't. It was a viewer from Florida. Thanks, Tony.
Tony, all right, my man.
Tony from Florida. Thank you.
We got to give Tony a name.
Yeah, that's we'll come up with something good.
Florida.
Tony from Florida right now. But,
thanks, brother.
We'll have the call-in feature here, right? We'll have the phone here. Hey, we got a call-in with Tony from Florida. Welcome, Tony. Tony, I was telling him about how we might be getting this green screen system that's coming and sit behind us, and it'll be kind of cool. And he's like, well, what you need to do is we need to go to all different locations in Akron and take photographs of cool spots, and then we can have them on the green screen behind us, so that way we're always kind of showcasing a different awesome spot around Akron.
You were talking to Tony about the green screen?
Yes.
See, now, we had kind of talked a little bit about
Right.
the green screen, and it wasn't until about 3 minutes ago Mike made me aware that the green screen is almost, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It sounds like we're going to be getting it before you know it.
Right.
So, Tony, you were privileged to discussing something that was in more fuller view, no pun intended. So I was unaware. You guys have already been talking about it. That's a great idea. So Tony came up with that idea to go around Akron. Is Tony familiar with Akron at all?
Yeah, well, Tony is my brother,
so he might be a little bit.
He's a little bit familiar with it. you might have heard him at 3 o'clock in the morning some nights lighting off firecrackers and fireworks. If you ever hear that coming my direction, it's because Tony from Tony from Florida is in town.
I'm 2 doors down, and I think I have heard that brother of yours that likes to play with fireworks. So, all right, good deal. Well, nepotism is always a good thing. Thanks for listening, Tony. Thanks for the good ideas.
Absolutely. Greg has another awesome list here for us. Greg, where are we going next?
Well, here's what we're going to talk about. Today, keep in mind, we've been building this thing, we're trying to stack this thing and build our podcast. Today, we're going to be focusing on the format. So really kind of plugging into what we should do in the steps 1, 2, and 3 and understand what it is we're going to talk about, what order we should do it in, and then that way we'll have formatted shows to come in and give our podcast.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
So that's the overall plan. We're going to talk about a rating podcast system that we've put together that's from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about the current events area of what we're doing. We're going to talk about podcast ideas, topic ideas, and the like. And then we're going to hit our famous upcoming events. If you know or are aware of any upcoming events, or I am not aware of any upcoming events, we're going to hit those.
Yeah, we're going to keep them posted.
Keep them posted, absolutely.
On something Akron-y coming up towards you.
Coming to an Akron near you, right?
That's right. Love it.
So that's the show today. So just diving in, let me throw out, Mike and I have come up with an idea as we're putting this podcast together. We know it's painful for you. I mean, we're starting this thing from scratch, so we're not fooling anybody. We realize that you guys are hanging in there, so we appreciate that. But while we're doing this, we've come up through with this 1 to 10. Number 1 is I can't watch it. Okay, and I know myself, the first few that we did, I think it might have been physically impossible to watch it because we were figuring audio, video out, and we made those repairs and whatnot. But number 1, you can't watch it. Number 2, hard to watch because it is so bad. That is number 2. Number 3 is your podcast changed my life for the worst, okay? Number 4 is a little better but not good. Now, Mike and I got to the end. We get to the end of our podcast and we say, where were we this week? So a power move happened this week. We got to the end of the podcast last week and we both agreed it was a number 4. A little better but not good, right? But then Mike, because he's a computer genius and whatnot, and he gets this editing software, and he puts a lot of time and energy into putting this thing together on the other side of the camera is what I'll call it, and he's edited things. So we're going to have words pop up. We've got the guitar riff starting off in the beginning. We've got some music fading out. We've got some notes going into the podcast, and it's just really, really cool. And actually, I'm very familiar with podcasts, and very few of them do that, especially the guys that are just starting out. So we're into podcast number 6, and I'm not going to say I've taken it to an upper level, but Mike has most certainly, with the editing alone, has taken us to a level that a lot of people don't go. So you should be proud of that. And so I'm going to say that takes us to a number 5, which is you are starting not to suck. Okay, you took us to the level where we're not starting to suck.
Right.
And that happened in the magic time between last week and this week.
Absolutely. But this is teamwork, so there's no I in team here, so this doesn't happen without both of us. So.
All right, well, thank you. I'll take full credit, partial credit for all Mike's hard work in the studio, doing all that good stuff, which I was unaware of until I walked through your front door today. So,
right, surprise.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Surprise.
I'll take some of that credit.
Good.
Number 6, I might watch because I know you guys. Tony, Disco Steve, the other 8 of you,
Mom, thanks.
Now here's where we're going to turn a corner. Entertaining, I might watch you guys again. That was 7. Number 8 is entertaining, I will watch you guys again. Number 9 is entertaining, I will most certainly tell people about your podcast. And finally, 10, your podcast changed my life for the better, which is kind of odd because I don't know if that's our goal or not, but that is the number 10, and we'll see if maybe that needs to change. Maybe we'll do just that.
Yeah.
So, and obviously it's all about entertainment, evidently, and hope we all have fun.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. We would be goofy, and then give you something to really chew on that you can go out here and play in our backyard, do something around Akron, have some fun, learn something. I like the term you used there, edutainment. Edutainment.
Well, where did I use that? I don't even think I mentioned.
I thought I saw.
The word edutainment is, and I stole that word in 1996, as a matter of fact.
In our intro.
Yeah, and I didn't even say it that way, but edutainment. I actually learned that in a Jim Rohn. Now, whenever I say Jim Rohn, everybody thinks of Jim Rome, the sports guy up in Cleveland, whom I'm not very familiar with. Jim Rohn is actually a business philosopher. He goes around and gives business seminars. Some people might classify him as a motivational speaker. Okay, he sells the cassette tapes, the CDs. Okay. He does. I don't know. He might do podcasts, but he's a little bit older. Was older in 1996 when I went to see him. But here's what you might not know about Jim Rohn, and I think I'm going to throw you on your ear.
Okay, let's hear it.
Guess who Jim Rohn was a mentor to? Little clock in the back. A little bit of the Jeopardy music.
Yeah.
Take a guess. A very well-known,
someone from Akron?
Motivational. No,
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins.
All
exactly.
right.
Ding, 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 ding. So Jim Rohn was the mentor to Tony Robbins and inspired him to go on and do what he's doing now. And albeit it's not a podcast, Tony Robbins has now got I gotta get this.
Hey, this is
water damage.
This is authenticness here. Watch this. This is
Yes, this is Greg Hibbard with Drive Patrol. Yes, Mary. Not a problem. Yes. Right. Okay. Perfect. Well, Mary, I appreciate the heads up on that. I'll keep my ears peeled for Karen, and hopefully I can help her out. All right, enjoy Vegas. Ah. Now that's authentic.
It doesn't get all more authentic than that.
You know-
Man, if we could have her voice in there too, and we could get that on the camera, that would have been awesome. That could have been our first caller.
Could have speakered it. She'd have freaked out. That was Mary. She's in Vegas. She had a friend that had a water damage / mold situation. She was just letting me know that Karen might be giving me a call in regards to her mold situation, so we'll see what happens.
Wow.
See
A
if it turns-
referral from Vegas.
I would have been much more excited if I would have had to say, yeah, Mike, sorry, I got a water damage situation to take care of right now. You were going to have to go solo tonight. I apologize, but it's kind of bittersweet, right? At least I
Right.
get to stay here. I don't get the job, but I get to stay here tonight and finish the podcast.
Well, that's right. Well, you know, when duty calls, we can always record later.
Huh? Good point.
Yep.
Good point. So, where were we? Tony Robbins.
Tony
on
Robbins.
Netflix. So he came out with a movie, and it is called "I'm Not Your Guru." And if you haven't checked it out on Netflix yet, I would recommend checking it out. Very good, very telling, and it's a good 2.5 hours of entertainment or edutainment. So
Edutainment,
that's where
I
all
like
this started,
it.
right?
I love
But
it.
I stole that term from Jim Rohn in 1996, and it's true. You know, if you went to school, right,
Mhm.
and you were excited because you knew class was going to be both entertaining and educating, and I
Right.
think every teacher that really wants to be a good teacher, that's the direction they should want to go in.
Right.
And I think we all had one of those teachers, or maybe two, or
Mhm.
maybe three if we were lucky, who made education entertaining.
That's right. Yeah, I had a few teachers that way growing up, and so
Did you get good grades in those classes?
yes.
When you left those classes, did you
Yes.
did you feel smarter? Did you retain a lot more of that information?
Yeah, it felt so good because, you know, I learned what they taught me. I can think of a math teacher, my computer science teacher in high school. My English teacher in high school was great as well. So, you know, it's pretty fun. I love learning things though. So as long as I'm learning something every day, it's important. So
Well, it's
That's my goal.
good. It's good, but a teacher will both educate you and entertain you at the same time. And
That's the
what
difference.
That's what pulls your attention. When you're ADHD like me and OCD, and you've got all these little ticks that just draw your attention, it takes one heck of a teacher to be able to keep my attention.
Right.
But there are a few out there. But
Yeah.
Jim Rohn Edutainment.
Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Rohn with
Rohn.
an N.
R-O-H-N.
R-O-H-N. All right. We'll have
Yes,
to
sir.
look him up someday and see what he's all about too. So it's good to
Good stuff.
something I learned today. Thank you.
Yes. Let's see here. So let's kick this thing off. We went over the 1 to 10. We talked about current events last week. I know we kind of pulled some things out. We're getting away from the rubber ducks. We're going to talk about restaurant things that need to be fixed. I know you're excited about that.
Oh, I
things
got
need to
something
be
that
fixed.
needs fixed in Akron immediately.
I threw in there Russ Pride dies. Whoa, right?
I heard that, yeah.
I heard that today for the first
An
time.
Akron
And
political
then,
legend here, Russ Pry.
So finally, then we're going to get into fun
Sorry.
facts in Akron. I don't know if today with that news, if that works in there real
No,
good, but those are the
no.
4 things we have down here.
It's an unfortunate, thing that
We're still
that
on Russ
happens.
Pry.
we're on Russ Price. So it's unfortunate that had happened, but
To me, it's tragic.
he was young.
The reason I say that, you saw him around town. And I know I saw him on the trails. I know I saw him in the city. You would just see him places, and seemed like a good dude. I was on the Home Builders Association. He had come visited us at big time like dinner events. He would show up at those. Just a nice guy, and he was somebody that I shook hands with a couple times. And then he was 58 years old. Evidently got the colon cancer, and there you have it.
Yeah, well, it's an unfortunate thing when that type of stuff happens. But I think he lived, from what I know, a pretty good life here in Akron, and did some civic duties and did well for the areas that he had helped. So our hearts go out to to his family, and that's all I have to say on that subject today. So
Yeah, ditto on that. 58's too young. Had no idea that he was even under the weather, let alone battling cancer. So yeah, today was when I found out. I was shocked, and then I went to tell everybody, and everybody else already knew. So that's kind of how that worked out. What they said on the radio is they're going to have. Well, he didn't want to have calling hours. He didn't want to have a funeral and all that stuff. But what they are doing is down in from this Saturday. That being, I guess that would be, today's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, the 6th, would be Saturday, and they're going to have some type of presentation from 10 to 3. So if, and this show's going to be playing next week, so don't go this Saturday.
It's going to be the Saturday, so unfortunately, when you do see this, it will have already been over, but...
Which will give you a good excuse for not having attended. So just look at it that way, and that's good enough. But that was in the current events. Had to mention that.
Absolutely.
And then we've got our others. Anything on the restaurants of the week, Mr. Connoisseur?
Well, restaurants of the week. I'll have to say I ate some pretty decent Mexican food.
Where?
El Ricon.
Where's that?
You familiar with that? It's
I
over
think so.
over on Arlington Road.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little Mexican restaurant. Pretty good food there. So if you big margaritas.
Fish bowl margaritas.
Oh my gosh, they were huge. So I didn't partake in that. I was at a business meeting, being serious.
Right.
But no, food and portions there are excellent. So I'll have to say that was a recent place that I had eaten out. One other place to mention, which is a new place in Akron. It's over at Summit Mall. It's called BJ's. It's kind of a brewery slash restaurant, but phenomenal beers that they make there.
It's in the Summit Mall, or is it like in the parking lot of the Summit Mall?
It's in the parking lot.
I've been there. Yeah, the place is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good place to go. Good food. Every time I've probably been there 4 or 5 times now. Every meal I've had from there has been tasty.
Yeah.
No issues with the food there, so that's a good restaurant.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. It's the only restaurant that is not a part of the mall that's in the parking lot.
That's right. It's a little separated there, right across the street from Ray's. Ray's Pub,
right.
I think they call
Yep.
it. The old winking lizard.
That's the way I always remember.
Yeah, the old winking lizard. Yeah.
So, cool. Well, good deal.
Yeah, check those places out.
I can't wait to hear what needs to be fixed in Akron. Sounds like it's going to go deep.
Well, yesterday, leaving to go off to a customer site, and I happened to go heading out the way I normally go, which is going down Merriman Road into the valley. So of course we have all the sewer construction going on. They're putting in all the nice new big pipes to carry our sewage down to the sewage plant down in the valley. But that happens to be my...
You're talking about Merriman?
Yeah, Merriman.
That's the construction there is not for the sewage, believe it or not. It's actually a new gas line.
Gas line. Okay, is that what that is? Gas line stuff?
Where they cut out half the sidewalk, and now they're installing that line. I guess they're installing a new kind of gas line.
So it's not even with the sewage system.
No. No. But at least now you know.
Okay, well.
I think I know what's going to happen to you, but
so
were you in a
anyways,
hurry?
so yeah, I was in a dead hurry, you know, because usually to get from here, our location here by off of Memorial Parkway, to get over to Summit Mall, where the BJ's that I was just speaking of is, usually takes roughly 10 minutes.
Yeah.
By way of the valley.
If you hit all the lights right.
Right, by way of the valley, you know, roughly 10, you know, give or take a few minutes. But this time, I'm going down the road and I'm heading down Memorial Parkway, and all of a sudden, big sign, road closed, detour, Merriman.
Yes.
So I make my detour through the neighborhoods over to Portage Path. So I'm going to head down into the valley via Portage Path. And would you know it, there's another guy out there directing traffic, you know, construction on that side of the road too. So that holds me up. Get down to the valley, and I'm going down Merriman Road over to where it turns into Valley View and Smith Road, and you can go up the hill. This is the back way.
Right.
You know, you're going up. So as soon as I get, and it's the new little roundabout that they put there.
Right.
As soon as I get to that, I see where they have Smith Road closed, detour. So now I'm heading down Valley View or Riverview Road.
Yes.
Past all of this.
So you couldn't go up Smith?
No, Smith was blocked. Was detoured. I had to go all the way down to the next
Bath Road.
Bath Road, is that
Yeah.
it? The next road is Bath Road.
Yeah, that.
But I got to see all the sewer construction that's going on, except there were no workers working on the sewer, so you know I guess they need a day off as well. But
So a 10-minute drive turned into a 20-minute drive at least.
it was even worse than that, because now where they were directing everybody to. And we had to come back up Sand Run, you know, get Bath Road to Sand Run and come back up that way. And it's a big, long hill. There's must have been 50, 60 cars stuck behind a trash truck that was taking this good old time going up that hill. And I just could not win for the life of me. So what I should have been a 10-minute drive took well close to 30 minutes to get to my location. So it was just a nightmare getting there.
And I don't want you to get mad at me, but I would have gone a different way because I knew what was going on there. But rather than going into the valley off Portage Path, have you ever made a left on Garmin and gone by Firestone High School?
Yes.
And then kind of bypassing, and that would have taken you to Sand Run?
Yeah.
And you're thinking the whole time, man, I wish I would have made a left on Garmin.
Yeah. Or even if I would have went through the park. You know, I don't know what the road
Sand
is called.
Run,
The
right.
Sand Run,
Yeah.
the park system there. You know, there's 25 the whole way.
Right.
But I wouldn't have been stopped, and that's actually a direct route because where I needed to go, dead-ended right there.
Yeah,
right
that
off of
would have just
road.
okay. So you were kicking yourself. You're late. You're kicking yourself in the butt.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know that any of these roads were closed. You know,
Right.
so as I'm going my normal, usual route that I've done for the past 15 years, boom. Get hit all these things. But the kicker is that as I'm I had to stop and get gas too, so I'm at the bottom of the hill getting gas. Yeah, you guys are loving this story, I know it. But
You had to get gas.
yeah, I had to get some gas too. I had to stop and get gas at the bottom of the hill. But as I'm pulling out to get back, you know, to go over to Smith Road before I found out that was closed, I look over and there's a big sign that says construction on Merriman Road closed for 180 days. So our road here is going to be closed the rest of the year. So we will not be able to use Merriman Road to get to the valley. And
For 180 days.
180 days, it said.
Wow.
You know, so that's a very long time, and that's
half a year.
That's my main route to the valley. I think that might stifle a lot of traffic to the valley. Might make it hard for those businesses down there.
Well, it's not going to help traffic on Portage Path, that's for sure.
No. So they had Merriman closed to the valley. I'm talking about the pass into the valley. And from here, West Akron, Highland Square area, you go Portage Path, Merriman Road, or Smith Road where you're coming from there. So they had Smith Road closed. They had Merriman Road closed. So there's only a couple ways into the valley. So you better know your way around here really good, or else you're not getting down there.
Well, the silver lining to that is they're fixing a major problem in the area.
That is true, so I'm not
but-
complaining about that aspect.
But to be honest with you, if it is the gas lines like I was doing, now maybe it's a combination of the gas lines and the sewer, and hopefully they're getting a lot of things done. But I guess it is what it is, and things are going to be better around here in 180 days.
Yes,
So
you
we
know,
can
and
move forward.
I'm all about that. And then if you just get the roads resurfaced before winter time comes, I'm going to be a happy camper.
No, I wouldn't expect that.
Oh man, I can't go another season with, both of my cars.
Well-
both of my cars, because of the potholes here in Akron, and especially here on Talmadge Avenue. Both of my cars need new front struts and shocks and sway bars and all that kind of stuff. The potholes around here just destroyed both of my vehicles. And that's my expense. I didn't create the pothole.
Yeah, the potholes are all on. They're all on Talmadge Ave.
Talmadge Avenue.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And
And that's my main way to the highway, so
Yeah, well, your tax dollars at work, right?
those
Not.
tax dollars should fix my car.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be nice,
Hold
right?
your breath on that
Yeah.
one, right? So no, I'm with you. I learned something new. I didn't realize that was going to be shut down for 188. That blows.
Yeah.
By the way, that's not going to be make it any easier to get down the valley, like you said. So
No, but as you said, it's things around here that are being fixed, and I cannot complain about progress. So if this project goes in place, and we have the new sewer, new gas lines, and Akron just got a infrastructure upgrade, I'm cool with that.
we'll be all brand new.
I love it.
Be all brand new. Won't that be great?
That would be great.
All right. I have nothing on the things to be fixed, and because I don't want to try to find things. I would have told that story too, but the whole idea there isn't just to pick up things that just to complain about the city. I think that would be stupid. But if
Right.
it's legitimate, we're going to go with it.
Right.
We talked about Russ Pry. Fun facts. I don't have anything. I didn't run into anything fun facty this week in
Well,
Akron. Did you?
I happen to have this awesome book, and I'm gonna bring next time. I'll bring it. It's a book on Akron and the history of Akron, and it goes from the inception of Akron, to modern day. So it's a pretty cool book. But I read it a lot, and I read about facts. I like facts. I'm a facts guy. I like statistics and
Sure.
population numbers and weird things like that. So one of the cool facts, though, or a fun fact about Akron, of course, that we all have the blimp. We love the blimp. It's an awesome thing.
Which you don't see the blimp up as much as you did say last summer, but I have noticed like within the last week it's been up like at least 3 or 4 times. But I'm gonna say most of the summer no blimp. Like, where's the blimp? Because our office is right by the blimp hangar, so
Yeah.
I'm always aware of it being up.
So you
but
know when it's taken off or closing, huh?
yes, absolutely.
So, interesting fact about the blimp, it's been around for a long time, the Goodyear blimp. Goodyear's a big company here in Akron, and so everybody knows Goodyear. But when Goodyear got its go, Akron was in its heyday, and of course we became the rubber city capital.
Right.
But back in that time downtown Akron, we used to have the cable car, which I mentioned in the last video that we did. But one of the cool things was you could go, they had the Polsky's building downtown.
Right.
And it's part of Akron U now. But back then Polsky's was a department store. And you go in there and go shopping for clothes and furniture and housewares,
It was yesterday's Macy's.
Yeah, it was. And you can still see remnants of it downtown if you go there. They have window displays in the front to show kind of its history. So it's still nice, and they keep it active and going. But on the top of that building, they had a landing pad for the blimp. And the blimp would come there and land on top. And then people would pay, their quarter or whatnot, and they would get onto the blimp and take a blimp ride from the top of the Polsky's building, and then off it would go and come back and land. I thought that was a pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome fact about Akron. So we need to bring back more blimps. I think we need to have more blimps flying around. I know there's Goodyear. I think has 4 or 6 blimps now. I'm not sure. There's other blimp. Fujifilm I think has a blimp. MetLife has a blimp. So I love blimps. I just think that they're so cool to see them flying around. I would love to see a blimp flying around Akron every day.
Well, it's surprising that there aren't more blimps because you can't get a ride on a blimp nowadays because they're always filled up. They're like a specialty thing. It's hard to get a seat on a blimp because so many people want to ride in one.
Yeah.
The Empire State Building. Didn't the Empire State Building, wasn't the top of it designed to do something similar where you could actually board
I think so.
you know, but I didn't know that about Polsky. That is
The
a fun
Hindenburg,
fact.
wasn't it? Wasn't the Hindenburg supposed to land at the
I don't
Empire State Building?
That I don't know. I just thought
Yeah.
I thought it to
Maybe I
be
don't
designed so that a blimp
Mhm.
in general could dock and then and so people could get on and off.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty interesting. So, go ahead and check it out.
So let's see here. Fun facts. So okay, that's current events. So let's get into what we were talking about. Putting this thing together. Are we solid with the current events? The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Well,
I like that.
And the rest probably might go to. That is a current event.
Mhm,
but,
that certainly is a current event.
But
Yeah.
so it's really a 1, 2, 3. We've got the restaurants, things that need fixed in Akron, and fun facts.
Now look, we can take the restaurant thing and we can really run with the restaurant thing. So if we wanted to, we could even go to a restaurant instead of doing a video here. We can get permission from a restaurant, go into the restaurant, sit down and order some food and videotape us.
That does not excite me whatsoever.
Oh, well.
But what you could do is do that. Well,
Right.
again, the current event, I got
Right.
you in parentheses because I
Right.
know you like to do this kind
I
of
do,
stuff.
I do.
But I would lose my appetite if I sat in a restaurant and we set up the camera and then everybody would be like looking and
Watching what we were doing.
That to me would be so nerve-wracking,
Right.
But that's me. But
Right.
if you like doing that, do it, man.
All right.
Do it all the way.
My next suggestion was going to be let's go to a bar, one of the local breweries around here, and have a beer after your 40-day challenge, of course.
Well, which comes up tomorrow. Tomorrow's day
Oh.
number 40. But yeah, Sam would be up to something like that.
Uh-huh.
Who's going to be distracted after beer number 3, right? I think
Right.
yeah, that would be, something different that we might want to
Yeah,
look at.
there's tons of local breweries around here that are popping
Sure.
up, building their brand and building some good brews. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Agreed.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
that's something that we can do. And we'll certainly like your feedback. So if you have some questions or things that you would like to see us do here around Akron, any comments, feel free to pop them at the bottom of our videos there on the YouTube in the comments section. We'd be glad to hear from you. So please share your thoughts. Don't hold back.
All right, next area, podcast ideas. Now we've talked a little bit about this. Let's dig in a little bit. 10-minute podcast, and I think that might be referring to what you were saying, and that is, Greg, we need to look at this podcast and edit it into 10-minute bites. And I think you had already said that YouTube kind of takes care of that right from the get-go.
No.
Is it YouTube or?
No, YouTube doesn't do that, unfortunately. We have to do that editing. That's part of the reason that we got that new editing software, so we can make
Right.
our nice little clips. So that would be like our current events. So we'll say the Akron Podcast, current events, and then it would be just the clip of us here where we talked about the current events for that week.
Right.
So that way we can just pop that up there as something easily that they can eat
Okay.
and consume. Or
So you're going to make that choice.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Well, they should be our different sections. So as we break, we're still in the beginning phase here talking about what we're going to be delivering in these podcasts. But as this format you have here is perfect, and I'm sure these sections will start becoming more solidified as we move forward, such as current events or, what's the topic of the week here, this week it's building a podcast, but we'll have a main topic that we talk about. So these different main sections as we go through our podcast, we'll have those sectioned off into smaller, easily digestible things. So if you just want to watch the fun facts of Akron section, you can.
That organically, that's just going to go to the wayside. So I'm going to strike that off because you already know what we're doing with that.
Right.
Keep a running list of the top 10 things in Akron.
I think we need to have something similar like the night show people do, the top 10 lists.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a board that we just...
board?
And then when something pops
A
up...
board here behind us. I can write on it.
And it's already like, so for example, I threw 14 things together.
Yes,
and so, for example, the quick one...
Let's intro this. The top 10 things to do in Akron. Go Greg!
But it's not the top 10 things to do. It's the top 10 things in Akron, right?
The top 10 things in Akron.
And I didn't really put these in a specific order. What I did is I said, man, I'm going to come up with as many things that I can shout out to Mike, but just to get a flavor for it. So,
all right, go.
Here's what we got. We got LeBron. Well, we should do it starting with 14, right?
All right, rolling backwards.
So, for example, canal system in New York City. New York City would not exist without the canal system that came through Akron.
Right.
Acme Click might be one.
Acme Clicks.
Mustard Seed.
Mustard Seed. Yeah, that's good.
Highland Square Theater.
Oh, that's a good place.
Highland Square.
Highland Square.
Devo. Number 8, First Night. Number 7, Rubber Ducks.
First Night.
Number 6, Musica. Number 5, you'll like this one, The Blimp.
The Blimp.
Right?
Blimp.
Number 4, Dr. Bob and Founders Day of Alcohol Anonymous.
Yeah, hey, Dr. Bob.
Number 3, Metro Parks.
Great park system.
Number 10, Chrissy Hines.
Oh yeah, the Pretenders.
And then finally, of course, LeBron James. So we would...
LeBron, love you.
We'll put together a little 11 by 8 in the beginning, see where it goes, post it whenever we do the thing. Maybe we'll hit it, maybe we won't. But these were things that I just threw out there. This was a quick list that I put together. So that was my thought.
I love it. I like it. That's great. We should have a whole section called the top 10. And that's a weekly segment
Okay.
that I think that we should have in there, and however we want to display it to the audience, but that's going to be a great little mini segment that they can...
Do you think it'll be redundant?
No, there's hundreds of things in Akron for us to add to that thing, so...
So it's really not a top 10 list? It's a running list?
Well, it's a top 10 list for this week.
Okay. So does LeBron James ever change?
Well, I'm sure he changes his clothes daily. I'd hope so. Else he'd be kind of stinky. But
Right?
right. But hey, yeah, it's what you gonna do the top 10? Is this gonna be your thing?
I was thinking we would have it posted. I thought it might become a little bit redundant to do it every single week because I don't see it moving around too much. But I thought it was something we should have.
Well, we can add in some of the current events into your top 10 list too.
Well, there's a current events part in. Well, we have the current events here,
right?
But we have upcoming events.
Upcoming events, yeah. Well, that'd be things to get out and do here in Akron. So that's something definitely going to be different than your top 10.
And let's throw this out. Now, this can always change.
Always
okay, now
change.
here's the way I see it.
You want to keep it as a running list?
It's a running list.
Okay.
Something pops up good, do we change the list? We start talking about things, oh, look at that, number 4 on the top 10 list pops up again. So it's something that we could refer to.
Okay.
And, but I don't think it necessarily needs a segment of time, especially to go over, hey, let's listen to the other 10, listen to the top 10 things again.
We'll keep a running list. I got an idea running through my brain on what it could be, what could be holding the list. Well, we'll chat with this offline and it'll be a surprise for the audience.
Cool.
But we can go to it whenever the list changes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can reference it when the list changes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I will make the list for next week. Make formal list. Okay.
Love it.
Next thing. Akron history and locations. Now we kind of do that already. We kind of move that up here into the current events, which maybe current events isn't the place it should be. So maybe I'll look at that because history and current events, I don't know. It's an oxymoron. Right?
Well, we're going to have some fun with that, and we'll talk about some cool places and cool things here to do in Akron. So,
one of the things that I'm pretty excited about is this, and that's what got me motivated to do this in the first place, and that is to do kind of a podcast YouTube review. You know, I do all my podcasts through YouTube because they're available, it's free, and I don't, you know, and I like the idea of, I don't like to stick to the same podcast all the time. I like to bounce around, that's why I like YouTube.
right.
So, anyway, just to hit, you know, that part of the show where, you know, we run through. Do you watch any podcasts at all, or would you like to review any of the podcasts that you watch and kind of throw people, especially local podcasts, which sounds like something that we might really start trying to inform people of, which I think is a super idea.
Yeah, definitely more on the local side. That would be really cool.
Yes.
But as far as I know, we're the only Akron podcast right now, so.
Because we are the Akron Podcast.
That's right. You must watch us and us only. Watch us now.
You don't have to do that. You can just edit it in there.
Oh, that's
And,
right. I can make it
you know,
swirl.
Yeah, you can do
Yeah,
lots of
yeah,
good things
yeah.
there. So watch this podcast. We will feed your brain good things. But I think that area, for me anyway, that is something that needs a lot more detail. But that's kind of the, you know, in my mind, like, I'm going to start watching podcasts. I'll throw out the episode that I'd watched, kind of give a 1, 2, 3 on what it was about, why it might be worthwhile to watch, why it might not be worthwhile to watch.
Well, we got some time right now. Throw us one. Let's hear. Let's
you
hear a
know what?
sample.
Well, I'll give you a sample. Now, I couldn't tell you exactly which episode, but I'll tell you, I've kind of shelved most of my podcasts that I normally watch. I did watch or listen to one podcast by a girl in one of my running groups. She has a podcast called Sugar Stride. In other words, a good running stride, right? And she puts together a talking podcast, so there is no video involved. And she talks about running things. So the one podcast I'd listened to was 20 minutes about how you recover from a marathon. And it was really, really informative. I thought it was really good, worth listening to if you're a runner. And what I like about it, you know, you've got this running culture in our area. You may or may not be familiar with it, but Akron does have a running culture. You have all these runners that get together. We're in running groups. We meet either the Monday, the Tuesday, every night of the week, every morning of the week. You can get in, join one of these running groups, and you become very knowledgeable in regards to running by running with these people that run crazy numbers. Like they've got the Burning River race this weekend. They're going to be running 100K. These folks are going to run 100K, and that is just a feat that I can't even fathom. For one reason, more than anything, I in no way, shape, or form even want to run 100K, but these people do it, you know, and my hat's off to them, because you know that they're building their bodies to be ready for this performance. They go through a tremendous amount of pain to make this happen, and they are making it happen. But and in these running cultures, you do have these conversations, and they're really good. You know, how do you prepare for 100K? Well, if you've never done it, you're running with all these folks that have done it before, and they give you all these great tips. Now, if you're like me, you know, every presentation, if I absorb 20% of what I'm taught, I'm really, really happy with that. I just can't absorb it all, and that's why I love podcasts, because podcasts, especially if they're on the informative side, or if they're making me a better person, or if they're informing me on a level where I have to stop and go back, right? Have you ever listened to somebody so smart where you're like, man, I wish I had that guy on recording because he was just so brilliant, and the words that he strung together just really blew me away, right? So that's why I think that the Sugar Stride podcast is a great thing, you know. I mean, to get that information. Hey, I'm recovering from a marathon. Who knows? Maybe next week she'll put together how to recover. I think she's either doing the 50K or 100K, but once she runs that, she will have a how to recover from a 50K or 100K. So I think it's beneficial. I'm very proud that a person from Akron is doing it. Her big concern with her podcast, and I think she's got this all wrong personally, I think her big concern with her podcast, she wants to make it full-time, which I think is a great goal to have. But I think her big problem, in my opinion, is she's she's stressing out about getting this thing to run, which and I just hope that she has fun with it, because I think what she does is doing good. Sometimes when you become frustrated by not getting the result you want too soon, sometimes you quit. So I hope that Carrie doesn't quit. I hope that she keeps on.
Don't quit, Carrie.
Keeps on. You know what?
Keep trucking.
I've got her name wrong, so hopefully she'll listen to my podcast. And her name starts with a J. I just can't remember exactly what it is. Sorry, Sugar Stride. But
Sugar Stride, baby, it's Sugar Stride.
So that was one that I listened to. So that was a good one. But then, other than that, man, I have been listening to Alex Jones. Now, do you listen to Alex Jones?
Never heard of Alex Jones.
Oh, man.
Who's Alex Jones?
Alex Jones has been doing a podcast since podcasts were even thought of. So he's been doing...
He's a pioneer.
He's a pioneer. He's been doing this thing on his own. I believe he started like in 1994.
Oh, wow.
And have you ever heard of InfoWars?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's Alex Jones.
Oh, okay.
So he's the crazy dude that has more passion about what's going on. And the reason I'm watching right now is I am completely fascinated with this whole Trump thing, is what I'll call it, because that's what it really is. It's this Trump thing going on. And I was sucked in on, I think Trump gave his speech on June 6th of 2015, and I was sucked in because I have been following Trump since the beginning. Did I talk about this last week?
You talked a little bit about Trump.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I probably said all this last week, but I'm going to reiterate it again. I'm going to repeat it. So anyway, he's always been on my radar since as early as the 70s. Now, and I read one of his books in 2008. Now let's fast forward to 2015, and when they showed his speech, and everybody made him the laughingstock. Mm-hmm. And I hate the way comedians and the funny people can make a serious person non-existent. They just have that power. It's just a fact of life. And of course, when Trump came and gave that speech, they all did it, and everybody thought it would blow him out of the water. But he's a tough guy, and that's just one example of what he did, because most people would have floundered and just gone bye-bye. But he did not, because he's a great strategist and he knows what he's doing. He's got a plan. He's been planning this thing probably for the last 4 years, maybe even longer. But when I heard everybody making fun of him and talking about how absurd it was that he was running, and then they started mocking his speech and for saying that, and this is the original speech, right, when he said that he was going to run. I heard these short clips, and I was like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like Donald Trump. I mean, I read his books. He's been writing on behalf of politics, giving news interviews. He's asked political questions. The same people that would take him seriously and say, Donald, what do you think the state of the government in our country is like right now? Well, evidently, the media took him seriously. Why would they waste their time asking the question at that time? And then when he throws his hand, and one of the questions he had been asked quite a bit was, do you think you'll ever run for president? So obviously the media has always kind of taken him serious as a political, not official, but a politician, even though he wasn't a politician. That was always his answer.
Yeah.
So then he finally runs. Everybody gives him a hard time. They take his speech, they cut it up, they make him look like a fool, and I said to myself, that doesn't sound like Donald Trump. So as soon as I got home, you better know, I looked on YouTube and couldn't find anything but making a mockery of him. And then I said, C-SPAN. There's always C-SPAN. You see, C-SPAN doesn't cut anything. That is authentic. That's going to be the speech from beginning to end. And all of the things that they cut up to make him look like a fool, when brought together, gave a message that I agreed with and believed in. And I said, that's it. It's exactly as I had assumed. All of the news media wanted to make fun of the guy. The speech was great. It not only did it get to me, but it got to a lot of other people. He
Right.
was saying what everybody else wanted to hear, and that's why he's the only politician to date that I'm aware of that filled those great arenas in America. Maybe it happened in other countries. I do not know.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as people only running for president, they're not president yet. I've never seen anything like this. And Alex Jones is like one of the. And this all started with Alex Jones, believe it or not. Alex Jones is one of those guys. He's crazy. Don't get me wrong. He talks about a lot of the scary stuff, but.
Okay.
What's funny is a lot of the scary stuff that he was talking about in the mid to late 90s has come true. I mean, it has really come true. So, but when you see this guy, he talks with a lot of passion. He comes from an area, he talks about things that people are very, very uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
He's way ahead of his time, but here's what's interesting. He's still around.
Right.
A lot of people listen to his show. Some of these people are on the lunatic fringe. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But he brings something that none of the other medias that I'm familiar with have really brought. Now you've got there's a couple of other news, but I don't listen. I watch Alex Jones. He's on 3 hours a day. Over the weekend or last week, he just got done with a 28-hour straight media thing, and you can look them all up on YouTube and watch all those shows put together. And that's what I've been really watching. The top 3 things, this summer it's all Trump. So that's the number one story that he really gets into. He interviews a lot of great people on that. Number 2, it's going to be the other side of that, Hillary and just the whole Clinton mess that they've got going on over there, and they talk a lot about the things that our normal media doesn't. Because in my opinion, it seems as though the normal media wants Hillary in and does not want Trump in. And they don't tell a lot of the story about Hillary. They don't want to talk about Benghazi. They don't want to talk about what was that water. What was the
Waterboarding?
No, not Watergate. Was it Watergate?
Oh, yeah, something they were involved with. Yeah.
And my only point,
Email gate.
you got there's always a gate with her and whatnot. And so he talks about those things where all the other medias don't. And then if I were to throw another one, like one of his crazy things that he'll talk about that nobody else talks about is, for example, he's really worried about cars that drive themselves.
Oh, yeah. I'm with them on that
You're
one.
with them on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So most people say, hey, this is great because I like to do my office work while I'm in the car, and the car would take care of us. But Alex Jones's angle is, look, number one, the car that you could afford today, this is just number one, mind you, the car that you could afford today, you will not be able to afford tomorrow. Number two, you're not even going to own that car. Somebody else is going to own that car.
Yeah.
And it's because it's not just the car now. Now you're talking about computer software and the fact that you can't afford the car. And then finally, who can start and stop this car? Well, you can, but somebody else will also. As a matter of fact, somebody else will be able to steer this car. So who's to say that you're not going somewhere where you want to go, and then all of a sudden somebody, Big Brother, says, we don't want your car to go in that direction. We want you to go this direction. And, and I just thought of this, you meet teenagers today, and they don't have the same motivation to drive like we did. When we turned 16 in 1986, you wanted to drive right now. Right?
Give me my car.
Give me my license. I'll do whatever it takes. Get me a car. Freedom, baby.
Yeah.
And you don't have that in 16-year-olds anymore. They're like, no big deal. I meet people at work that have that same attitude, and it blows me away. It's like they only get a license because now it's time to get a job. They've got to take care of themselves. How are they going to get to and from work? Well, I guess I got to get a license. It's really, really bizarre. And the reason I'm pointing that out is, how did that happen? Did that happen by design? These are kind of the scary things that Alex Jones gets into.
Okay.
There's a disconnect that did happen, but does that help the agenda of self-driven cars? Absolutely it does. When you have a younger generation saying, you know what, it's not all that important to drive to me. that's just one step closer to saying, you know what, I don't want the responsibility, give it to the government, I'll just climb in that car and ask the car to go to where I want to. But that would be the 1, 2, 3. The Trump, the Hillary, and then cars that drive themselves. Those are some of the things that they talk about.
Well, those are all good topics. I just was reading an article about the self-driving cars. And, being in the tech and computer industry, one of the main things about that, the issue is
tech guy.
The issue with them is that they're internet connected, meaning that a bad guy, a bad hacker, could take control of your vehicle,
right,
and speed it up, slam on the brakes. And the ones that are driving, they can control the steering wheel. Say you're going down the highway at 70 miles an hour, the car all of a sudden accelerates to 80 miles an hour, makes a sharp right and slams on the brakes at the same time. What do you think happens to the car? It goes tumbling down the highway at a big speed. Major accidents, major crashes, And so what if a bad guy found out that, here's this politician that we don't like that's in this car, and they can hack his car and,
I've got an answer for that.
Make that happen.
I've got an answer for that.
No self-driving cars?
Take away the cars. Take away the cars, which would be another thing.
Right.
The Second Amendment is huge on Alex Jones, right? Now all of a sudden we have a reason to take away the cars.
Right, take away the cars. No, I don't think that's the answer, but I also don't think that self-driving vehicles are the answer too, because I know where that's heading to, because it's like public transportation. And there was a movie, it was a...
you know what I was paralleling that to, don't you?
No.
The guns. Take away the guns.
Take away the gun.
Right, just take away the guns. All the problems will go away.
Yeah, take away the cars, those go away too, right? Yeah, those are never the answer, because the technology is never the problem. It's the users, the people who can corrupt, corrupt them, right? And so the problem with, the big thing today in the world is this IoT, Internet of Things. And it's a way that everything is connected to the internet, Greg has several devices here that connect to the internet, a watch and his phone. I have my internet connected phone. Now they're talking about, my wife was at Lowe's or Home Depot, and she was looking at refrigerators, and now they have this new refrigerator. It's internet connected. It's got a tablet right in there, and then it knows what groceries you have inside of the refrigerator, and if you're low on milk, it makes you a shopping list. It's all this crazy kind of stuff, but you don't need a refrigerator connected to the internet that does all this stuff. If you can't open up your fridge and say, hey, I'm low on milk, there's an issue. There's too many things. Our lights in our home are connected to the internet now, Bluetooth and speakers, and our air conditioning units. And heater systems can be all interconnected. Our garage doors, our door locks, our camera systems, everything's connected. And it's cool, and all this technology is great, but my mind goes to, well, how can it be used against us? Right?
Yeah.
And eventually it turns against you, right? Just like people how can guns turn against us? Well, it's because someone bad gets a gun and shoots somebody else, in those types of situations, then that's where you start thinking, hey, let's yank this stuff away from people. But that's never the answer. So, you don't want to go pulling away technology from people. Speaking of which, guns and technology, we have 3D printers now, right? We can have a little printer that sits right here on our desk, no bigger than this, and I can print anything that I want on it, and it makes a plastic model for me. Well, they have websites that you can go out to and get pre-designed components, and you can already go out and get pre-defined components and actually assemble a plastic gun that you might be able to fire once or twice. And they have videos out there. You can go on YouTube and see people talk about this. But the whole thing was Congress went in and said, no, we can't have people printing off guns on their own at home at their own leisure, right? And so they made them take down the files that had this printed gun. And so there's a guy out there that is a big proponent of making sure that these files are out there for people to be able to download and print. But if you want to print a gun, that's your American right to be able to print that gun. I don't know why you'd want to print a plastic gun. The only thing I can think of is, why would you want a plastic gun? to do something bad with it, right? Because there's
Right.
no traceable parts. You can just pitch it and be
Well, there was
gone
a
with
movie
it.
on that, and I forget. Did you see that movie where the guy came up with a plastic gun so he could go into said airport?
Right.
Now all of a sudden you have a plastic bullet, or somehow you get a bullet.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you got something. But
Yeah.
you know, there's it all goes down to the fact that everything's dangerous, right?
Everything is
You
dangerous.
can. There's a lot of other ways. It just doesn't require a gun. A gun just happens to be one of the vehicles.
Right.
Sooner or later, it can be a car. Sooner or later, it's already a car.
Yeah.
You could take your car.
In France,
you can do it. Thank
in France,
you. Yeah,
they had the bus airplanes, you know, or 9/11. You know, you can turn conventional things, everyday things. I mean, you can turn, you know, anything into a weapon, right? Anything can become a weapon. So
Yeah.
it's the person who's controlling it that's the bad person,
Yes.
that does something nefarious with said device. So don't beat the messenger. Because that's not the right person that you need to be targeting. Yeah,
Right.
don't target the technology. Don't target the gun. Don't target the car or whatever the bad thing is. The internet. A lot of people don't like the internet. They think that's an evil thing in the world today. But those aren't the evil things. It's the bad people who take advantage
Right.
of those and use those against us. Or crooked politicians that get up to a certain position and could be very well corrupted and use their corrupted. You know, we hear about it all the time. But you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
those things. Just stay protected, keep yourself educated, and that's how you'll survive in this modern world. So, well, we got really serious in this episode of the podcast here. You know,
Well, it's
so,
good. It's
but it's
good
good.
stuff.
You know, you're gonna hear a serious side of us. You're gonna hear some goofy sides of us. And, you know,
Well, it's
it's all about having fun.
It's
making-
still edutaining. Everybody's
Yeah.
got their views, even on serious things.
That's
and I
right.
think it's important.
Absolutely.
So here's the other thing. Let's check our time real quick. We're getting late, buddy. Narrate Mike and Greg top weekly story. So really, I think what we need to do is we're trying to make this an hour, right?
Yeah, we want to keep this to an hour.
To an hour. So we might need to start kind of pulling things out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like right now, I think we
Where are we
started
at?
about, well, we're at 9:25 now,
Uh-huh.
right?
We started about 8:30, right? After we.
Was it 8:30?
Or maybe a little bit beforehand there.
I think
so.
if it was about 8:20, 8:15, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, we're at our hour mark, so yeah, we really need to start making this get concise. So I think for internet world here, we should sign off and let them get back to eating their cold pizza
Right?
or warm pizza.
Well, let me throw this.
Let's hear.
What I'll do is I'm going to take our outline notes
Okay.
and we'll start putting I'll put a time to everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And now, because again, this is authentic and we're going to try to get the timing. I think timing with this
Right.
whole thing is very, very important, not only for the podcast to be entertaining. I know personally it's just important for me,
Right.
and I think it'll help the flow.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, because we could rant and keep going on certain topics all day long.
I think so, yeah.
And I think we do
problem
that.
talking.
No, I mean, there's no issue in talking. We can sit here and probably talk for 3 hours.
Yes.
You don't want to hear us talking for 3 hours, so we
Don't
want
blame
to
you.
we want to keep this concise. Now, you have a perfect outline here, and like you said, if you put some time frames, let's keep this to 10 minutes. Let's keep this to 5 minutes, and those would be good because yeah, we'll fill up an hour really quick, and we don't want to give away too much stuff that we can keep talking about in the next episode. We want to keep you coming back, edutained.
We're going to keep you edutained. Well,
I
with
love
that, Mike,
Yes.
would you like to sign us off, my man?
All right. Well, we're still working on an official Akron Podcast sign off, but for today, here from my lovely home with Greg and I'm Mike, we are going to rock and roll this night away. Thank you for watching the Akron Podcast.
Got dark outside. Bye, guys.
Later.
Chained in my soul. Heart is breaking down.